Parents favored the rich, athletic son. Kicked out the quiet older brother at 17, said he wasn't worth it. He disappeared for 25 long years, built a billion-dollar empire in silence. Then he returned, bought their dream mansion, and turned it into an orphanage for abandoned kids like he once was. This is the most poetic family revenge ever. Bitter revenge starts, right now. My name is Adrian Hayes. I was 15 when my parents decided I wasn't worth investing in anymore. We lived in a gated estate outside Raleigh, North Carolina, 8,000 square foot brick mansion, 5 acres, pool house, home theater, 4-car garage. My father, Victor Hayes, owned Hayes Development Group, a commercial real estate firm specializing in luxury office parks and retail centers. Annual revenue topped $80 to $100 million. My mother, Evelyn, managed the family image, country club boards, charity galas, private school fundraisers. I had one sibling, my younger brother, Julian. 4 years younger, golden-haired, charming, athletic prodigy. Julian was the heir. Star quarterback, homecoming king, always the center of attention. I was the older one, a quiet, bookish, straight-A student, robotics club president, summer coding camps. I fixed the home network when it crashed. Julian crashed Dad's new BMW at 16. The favoritism started small. Julian's football games took priority over my science fairs. Mom missed my honor roll ceremony to watch his practice. Dad bought Julian a new Tesla at 17 while I drove the old family SUV. When Julian totaled the Tesla, joyriding, charges dropped after Dad's lawyer intervened. Dad laughed, "Boys will be boys." When I got a B+ in AP Calculus, Dad said, "You need to step it up, Adrian. Julian's got real potential." Then came the final cut. I was 15, sophomore year. Julian was 11. I told my parents I wanted to major in computer engineering, dreamed of Silicon Valley, building AI startups. Dad sat me down in his study. "Adrian, we've decided to focus our resources on Julian. He's got college football scouts looking. We're paying for private training, travel teams, everything. We can't stretch ourselves thin for 2 kids." I stared. "But I have a 4.2 GPA. I'm in national robotics competitions. I can get scholarships." Mom stood in the doorway. "Julian's future is brighter. You're smart, you'll figure it out. Community college first, maybe a job. You'll be fine." No emotion. No "we're proud." Just facts. I asked, "So I'm out?" Dad nodded. "We think it's best. You're old enough. Get a job, pay your way. Julian needs our support now." They didn't wait for me to graduate high school. 2 years later, when I was 17, they gave me $1,000 cash seed money and told me to find somewhere to stay. I packed a duffel, my laptop, and my savings, $2,400 from summer jobs at a local tech repair shop. Walked out the front door while Julian watched from the stairs with a smirk. I couch-surfed with a friend for a month, then rented a room in a rundown house near Raleigh Community College. Worked nights at a warehouse, enrolled part-time, slept 4 hours a night. No family calls. No birthday texts. No Christmas invitations. Julian got the full treatment, private coaches, new gear, college paid in full, even though he barely graduated high school. They bought him a condo off campus. I ate ramen and free campus food. I didn't speak to them for 12 years. I transferred to NC State on scholarships and loans, majored in computer science with a focus on AI and machine learning. Graduated summa cum laude. Landed a job at a Raleigh startup, $88,000 starting. Worked 80-hour weeks, saved every penny, learned venture capital, networked relentlessly. By 29 I had my first patent and AI optimization algorithm for supply chains. The startup got acquired for $110 million. My equity stake netted me $8.4 million after taxes. I didn't spend it. I invested REITs, multifamily properties, angel rounds in cleantech. At 32 I started Hayes Innovations, same last name as Dad's, deliberate. Focused on AI-driven real estate development tools, predictive analytics for site selection, automated permitting, energy-efficient design. First client, a commercial brokerage, ironic. Revenue hit $55 million year 3, $180 million year 7. I kept it private, bootstrapped, no VC dilution. I never told my parents. Changed my social media to private, used Adrian H. professionally. They thought I was still struggling in Raleigh. 25 years after they favored Julian over me, the opportunity arrived. Hayes Development Group, the family business, was crumbling. Commercial real estate slowed post-pandemic, bad loans, competition from national firms, Grayson's reckless spending draining cash. Debt hit $48 million. The family mansion, Belmead Estate, 8,000 square feet on 5 acres, was mortgaged to the hilt. Victor put the business assets and the house up for auction, quietly. I formed Summit Legacy Holdings Anonymous LLC. Through brokers, I bid $36 million cash, took everything, brokerage remnants, client list, and the Belmead mansion. The bank accepted. No other bidders wanted the liability. Closing day, Raleigh title office. Victor, Evelyn, Julian, and his wife on one side. Victor in his old blazer, Evelyn clutching her purse, Julian hungover, his wife silent. They didn't know the buyer until I walked in. Adrian? Victor whispered. I took the head chair. It's Adrian Hayes now. Summit Legacy Holdings is purchasing Hayes Development Group assets and the Belmead mansion today. Cash wired. Debt cleared. Evelyn gasped. Julian stared. His wife muttered, no way. I slid the final docs. As new owner, I'm making immediate changes. Victor Hayes, Evelyn Hayes, Julian Hayes, you are all terminated from any remaining interests. No severance, no consulting. The mansion is now mine. You have 60 days to vacate. After that, eviction begins. Victor's voice cracked. Adrian, son. This is our home. Our legacy. I looked at him evenly. You favored Julian my whole life. You kicked me out at 17 because I wasn't worth it. You never called, never apologized. You chose him. This isn't revenge. This is ownership. Evelyn sobbed. We were wrong. We know now. Please, it's our home. Our memories. I paused. You said I wasn't worth investing in. Now you're not worth keeping. 60 days. Julian whispered. Our kids, they need to see the house. I stood. You had 25 years to include me. You didn't. 60 days. Security stepped in. They left Victor leaning on Evelyn, Julian in tears, his wife silent. I walked the mansion that evening, empty rooms, faded photos still on walls. The house they built on favoritism, now mine. 25 years after they favored the rich son, I bought their dream mansion. And turned it into a shelter for abandoned kids. The first year after the buyout was quiet on the surface, chaotic underneath for them. I didn't move into the Belmead mansion. I let it sit empty for 4 months, locks changed, utilities in my name, security cameras live. I hired a property manager to handle upkeep, but I never stepped inside. It wasn't about living there. It was about ownership. Proof that what they invested in Julian was now mine. Victor and Evelyn scrambled. They rented a 3-bedroom apartment in Cary, basic, no pool, no view. Victor tried consulting for small developers, but his reputation had faded. No one wanted the old guy who lost his firm. Evelyn took a part-time job at a boutique, $17 an hour, folding clothes. Julian moved in with them when his condo foreclosed. Couchsurfer, no rent, occasional rideshare shifts. They tried fighting legally, filed a motion to set aside the sale, claiming undue influence and family duress. My lawyers dismissed it in 60 days, court costs awarded against them, $19,000. They couldn't pay. Judgment lien attached to nothing, they had nothing left. I never posted about it. No social media gloat. My life stayed private, LinkedIn professional, Instagram locked. Hayes Innovations grew. $240 million revenue year 2, new Atlanta office tower project, expansion to Charlotte. I hired 320 more people, started a scholarship fund for first-gen engineering students in North Carolina, $2 million endowed, no name attached. Julian reached out first, text from a new number. Bro, this is messed up. Mom and Dad are falling apart. We're sorry. Can we talk? Just coffee. No money, I swear. Blocked. Evelyn sent a letter to my office, handwritten, shaky. Adrian. We were wrong. We see that now. Julian's struggling. We're struggling. The house was our life. We just want to say sorry. Please, can we see you? Love, Mom. I read it once. Filed it with the old high school report cards they never celebrated. Victor called my office line, assistant patched him after I approved. Adrian, son. We're losing the apartment. Health insurance is gone. Evelyn's knee needs surgery. We just need help. A loan. Anything. I kept my voice flat. You told me I'd figure it out at 17. Now figure it out. He cried. We regret it. Every day. Julian's not what we thought. You were always the strong one. We were blind. I paused. Blindness has a price. You paid it. Goodbye. I hung up. They tried one more time, showed up at my Raleigh office building. Security called. I watched on the lobby camera, Dad in a worn jacket, Mom leaning on a cane, Julian behind them looking defeated. I didn't go down. I had security tell them, Mr. Hayes has no comment. Leave the property or police will be called. They left. I focused on my life. At 39 I married Sarah, pediatric nurse I met at a charity event. We dated slowly. She knew my story early. No secrets. We married at 40, small ceremony in the Outer Banks, close friends only. Our daughter, Mia, arrived a year later. Then twins, Caleb and Olivia. 3 kids. No favorites. No comparisons. Every school event, every bedtime story, I was there. Sarah asked once. Do you ever want to reach out? For closure? I shook my head. Closure came when I signed the papers. They don't get to be part of this. 25 years after they favored Julian over me, the final chapter unfolded. Victor's health failed, cancer, stage 4. Hospice at the Carey apartment. Evelyn called my office, last plea. Adrian, he's dying. He wants to see you. Just once. To say sorry. I took the call. No. He said his piece 25 years ago. Tell him I heard it. She sobbed. Please. For the grandkids. They deserve to know their grandpa. I ended the call. Victor died 3 weeks later. No funeral invite sent to me. Evelyn moved to a nursing home, Medicaid funded, shared room. Julian stayed with her, working minimum wage. I never attended the funeral. I sent anonymous flowers to the gravesite, white lilies, no card. Mia asked about Grandpa Victor one day, age 6, curious. I told her simply, some grandparents make mistakes. They weren't ready to be family the way we are. But you have me, Mommy, your brothers and sister. That's enough. She hugged me. I love our family. 25 years after they favored the rich son, the mansion stood empty for a while, then I renovated it. Not to live there. I turned it into Hayes Haven, a residential orphanage and youth shelter for abandoned and at-risk children. Free housing, education, therapy, job training. Funded by my foundation, $18 million endowment. Named after no one specific, just Haven. The first kids moved in 6 months later, orphans, foster kids, teens kicked out by families like mine. I never gloated. I never contacted them. The mansion that once said you're not worth it now said you're worth everything to kids society overlooked. Julian tried one last reach letter to the foundation. Adrian. Dad's gone. Mom's in the home. I'm sorry. I was the favorite. I took everything. If you ever want to meet your nieces, they ask about you. Julian. I read it. Donated $200,000 anonymously to an orphanage in Raleigh. No reply. The mansion, once their dream, was now a refuge for kids with no dreams left. And me? I had Sarah, our 3 kids, my empire. They had regret, silence, and an empty house. Karma didn't need a scene. It needed 25 years. And one son who turned favoritism into fairness. The 60-day eviction clock ended without drama. I didn't attend the final walkthrough. The property manager and a sheriff's deputy handled it. Locks changed at 8 a.m., utilities transferred, cameras live. They had 60 days from closing. They used 57. From the security feed, sent to my phone, I saw them load a rented moving truck, boxes of clothes, photo albums, Evelyn's antique vases, Victor's golf trophies. Julian argued with the manager about family heirlooms. The manager showed the court order. They drove away at 11:19 a.m., truck pulling out of the circular driveway, the mansion shrinking behind them. I never stepped inside again. I let it sit empty for 5 months, maintenance crew kept the grounds, pipes winterized, security live. Then the real transformation began. I gutted the 8,000 square foot estate, added dorms for 80 children, classrooms, therapy rooms, full commercial kitchen, play areas, counseling offices. Turned it into Hayes Haven. A residential orphanage and youth shelter for abandoned, foster, and at-risk kids aged 6 to 18. Free housing, education support, mental health services, job training, life skills programs. Funded by a $28 million endowment from my trust. First residents moved in 9 months later, orphans, foster kids, teens disowned by families like mine. The shelter's motto, there's always room here. I never invited my family back. They were permanently banned. Legal notices sent, trespassing warnings filed, bylaws prohibiting contact from anyone who had abandoned or disowned a child. Victor died 22 months after the eviction, pancreatic cancer, alone in the Cary apartment. No invite to me. Evelyn followed 18 months later, heart failure and grief complications. Julian handled arrangements, small service in Raleigh. He posted an obituary, loving parents of Julian and Adrian. My name included polite fiction. I read it online. Didn't comment. Julian tried one final reach letter to the Haven office. Adrian. Mom and Dad are gone. I'm raising 2 kids alone. I know we were awful. I'm sorry. I was the favorite. I took everything. If you ever want to meet your nieces, they ask about you. Julian. I read it. Donated $350,000 anonymously to an orphanage in Raleigh, foster care and teen suicide prevention. No name. No reply. 25 years after they favored Julian over me, the mansion, once their symbol of exclusion, was now a refuge for kids with no family. The shelter housed 120 children yearly, high school graduation rates 92%, job placement 88%, college enrollment 69%. Sarah and I visited often, read bedtime stories, taught coding workshops, hugged kids who needed it. Mia, now 13, volunteered weekends, mentored younger girls on scholarships. Caleb and Olivia helped with art classes. One Christmas, 26 years after the disownment, I hosted shelter residents at our Brentwood home. Full tables, lights everywhere, gifts for everyone. No one said no room. Everyone had a place. Mia asked about Grandpa Victor at 14. I told her, some grandparents make mistakes. They chose wrong. But we choose love every day. That's why our family and this shelter is full. She hugged me. I love our family. The mansion that once said you're not worth investing in now said you're worth everything to kids society overlooked. Julian sold his house in Raleigh. Downsized to a condo in Durham. He never reached out again. He lived with the silence he helped create. I never regretted the purchase. I regretted only that it took 25 years to make room for myself. The mansion, once their dream, was now everyone's refuge. And my family, Sarah, our 3 kids, grandkids, the shelter was full. Forever. Karma didn't need vengeance. It needed 25 years. And one son who turned favoritism into fairness. The mansion's transformation took 18 months. I didn't rush. I let the Belmead estate sit for 6 months after eviction, grounds maintained, pipes protected, security active. Then the rebuild began, gutted interior, added dorms for 90 children, classrooms, therapy suites, full kitchen, play areas, counseling offices, medical room. Became Hayes Haven a residential orphanage and youth shelter for abandoned, foster, and at-risk kids aged 6 to 18. Free housing, education support, mental health services, job training, life skills programs. Funded by a $32 million endowment from my trust. First residents moved in 10 months later, orphans, foster kids, teens disowned by families like mine. The shelter's motto, there's always room here. I never invited my family back. They were permanently banned, legal notices sent, trespassing warnings filed, bylaws prohibiting contact from anyone who had abandoned or disowned a child. Victor died 24 months after the eviction, pancreatic cancer, alone in the Cary apartment. No invite to me. Evelyn followed 19 months later, heart failure and grief complications. Julian handled arrangements, small service in Raleigh. He posted an obituary, loving parents of Julian and Adrian. My name included polite fiction. I read it online. Didn't comment. Julian tried one final reach, letter to the Haven office. Adrian. Mom and Dad are gone. I'm raising 2 kids alone. I know we were awful. I'm sorry. I was the favorite. I took everything. If you ever want to meet your nieces, they ask about you. Julian. I read it. Donated $400,000 anonymously to an orphanage in Raleigh, foster care and teen suicide prevention. No name. No reply. 25 years after they favored Julian over me, the mansion, once their symbol of exclusion, was now a refuge for kids with no family. The shelter housed 130 children yearly. High school graduation rates 93%, job placement 89%, college enrollment 70%. Sarah and I visited often, read bedtime stories, taught coding workshops, hugged kids who needed it. Mia, now 14, volunteered weekends, mentored younger girls on scholarships. Caleb and Olivia helped with art classes. One Christmas, 27 years after the disownment, I hosted shelter residents at our Brentwood home. Full tables, lights everywhere, gifts for everyone. No one said no room. Everyone had a place. Mia asked about Grandpa Victor at 15. I told her, some grandparents make mistakes. They chose wrong. But we choose love every day. That's why our family and this shelter is full. She hugged me. I love our family. The mansion that once said you're not worth investing in now said you're worth everything to kids society overlooked. Julian sold his house in Raleigh, downsized to a condo in Durham. He never reached out again. He lived with the silence he helped create. I never regretted the purchase. I regretted only that it took 25 years to make room for myself. The mansion, once their dream, was now everyone's refuge. And my family, Sarah, our 3 kids, grandkids, the shelter was full. Forever. Karma didn't need vengeance. It needed 25 years. And one son who turned favoritism into fairness. That was Adrian's story. Kicked out at 17 because he wasn't the golden son, abandoned by his parents. But he waited 25 years, became a billionaire quietly. and turned their mansion of favoritism into a home for kids with no family. Karma doesn't forget when they said you're not worth it. It remembers, and it makes worth everything for those who need it most. If this revenge healed something in you, smash that like button. Subscribe and hit the bell. Next heartbreaking karma story drops soon. Comment right now. Did your parents ever have a favorite child? Or would you do what Adrian did? See you in the next bitter revenge. Remember, favoritism creates orphans. Love creates homes.